The skyline of Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh. More than 12 million people live in this fast-growing metropolis, and thousands more arrive every day. The streets of Dhaka have long become like the eye of a needle. There are not enough streets for the increasing number of people and vehicles. Worse than the foul air is the noise on the street. Even if traffic is at a complete standstill, horns are always honking. Bangladesh lies to the east of India. Its northern border is formed by the Himalayas. The centre of this congestion-plagued city are the streets around the bus station of Gulistan. Rickshaws still dominate the streets of the city. 25-year-old Badshed Mia has been transporting goods by rickshaw for over 7 years now. Today, Badshed has to take TV sets and accessories to a shop in the Old Town for a logistics company. If he loads up his rickshaw to the top, he gets the equivalent of 70 cents per kilometre. He can manage 2 or 3 such trips a day. It depends on how bad the congestion is and if he can get through without problems.
I might have to bribe the traffic police, but this is already included in the price.
Every day, thousands of young people like Badshed arrive in the capital. They dream of wealth and fast money. Most of them end up on the streets of Dhaka. The job of rickshaw driver is a good opportunity to earn money.
My home village is called Sherpur. There are no jobs there, so I came to Dhaka. Life and work here are hard. There are a lot of traffic jams in Dhaka. Driving is dangerous and rickshaws are banned on the larger main streets, but I'll manage. There are many spots where the traffic police stop us. Sometimes they beat us, but if you give them 10 cents, then they let you drive on. It's going uphill up there. You have to get off and help me push. Now we're taking a left turn.
In the streets of Dhaka, things can easily get lost, so the logistics company sends its helpers along. They watch the goods and show Badshed the way through the maze of streets. Accidents and broken vehicles are part of the scenery. They are often the aftermath of a bit of jostling or inconsiderate drivers. The age and poor condition of the vehicles make any transport a high-risk journey. This old lorry was hopelessly overloaded. 18 tons of steel rods instead of the legal limit of 5 caused it to break down in the middle of the junction.
It's terrible. we're running late. We've got more expenses and won't be getting our wages. We have to pay for everything out of our own pocket. It's going to cost us dearly.
This time, no one got hurt. But accidents like this are typical for the streets of Dhaka. A 35-year-old rickshaw driver Muhammad Azim was swept into the streets of Dhaka more than 20 years ago. Every day, he drives passengers through the city to earn a few euros. Azim has a wife and 2 children to feed. He knows the streets and its dangers and knows exactly what to look out for.
Actually, all other vehicles are dangerous for me, but I have to pay particular attention to buses, lorries and ordinary cars. The accident happened when a van hit me from behind and hurled me curbside. I lost consciousness immediately. It took me 3 months to be able to get back onto the rickshaw.
There are too many rickshaw drivers in Dhaka. Any newcomer can do this job. For Azim, this means ever longer waiting times, and prices are competitive.
Rickshaw, how much do you want?
20 cents.
15.
No.
The other rickshaws ask for less.
I take 20. Go to the others.
No, I don't have time. Let's go.
Driving on the street is not only dangerous, it's also exhausting. Azim can't manage more than 3 or 4 hours per day. Sometimes he also has to wait for over 10 hours. At the end of the day, he is often left with just a few euros. He will send most of this money to his wife and children who live in the countryside.
When I sleep or walk, my joints often ache. I can't say how much longer I will be able to do this, how much longer my body can take the strain, but I have to feed and raise my children somehow.
After 1 hour stuck in traffic, Badshet has covered the short distance to the old town. Together with logistics company's helpers, he delivers the goods. Particularly in the hot tropical summer, a taxi with air conditioning is the only chance to escape the overheated streets for a short while. Mohammed Amanullah's taxi is a luxury only rich people can afford. Mohammed has been steering his yellow cab through the big city jungle of Dhaka for 7 years now.
The worst thing is the ever-present traffic jams. They cause lots of problems. Sometimes I need 2 hours for a short distance you would normally need 20 minutes for. This way I have fewer customers and make hardly any money. My job's not really worth its while anymore.
It's usually richer clients, business people or foreigners who need to get to the airport who treat themselves to a taxi. Englishman David Giddings often travels to Bangladesh for business and has managed to pick up a few words of the local language. However, David has not managed to get used to the traffic in Dhaka.
I mean, I drive in Rome. I've driven in Naples for 30 years. I live in Italy. I've been there for 30 years. But I would never drive in Dhaka. Never. I wouldn't risk it. Because people are not insured, which is very important. My friend's brother is now mad. He was hit. Now he's completely crazy, brain damaged. And they just run away. If you have an accident, they never stop because the people would lynch them. Kill them. I mean, walking across the road is a problem. The crossings are very few, and the people take no notice. They take no notice of the police. Traffic lights are just a waste of money. You hop across the road, you try to stop the cars with your hand. They don't easily let you go. And they get out in the middle of the traffic and check the something like this. It's very informal. I mean, I mean, I don't think they have a highway code, or if they do, I don't think anybody's ever read it. I don't think the police have read it because they don't stop people.
Occasionally, the government tries to lay down the law. They just issued a new highway code.
Please read this and take note of the new rules.
Are those the new laws?
Yes.
I got something similar the other day.
Okay.
The government wants to enforce drivers keeping to their individual lanes.
Actually, it's a problem for all of us. Bus and taxi drivers are doing it wrong. But the worst offenders are the rickshaw drivers. They haven't got a clue about the highway code. I never know where they go next. They don't even have an indicator. It's terrible. They do whatever they want. It's true that we often go too fast, but we're not the only ones. Our customers want to reach their destination quickly. So we simply step on it.
There are policemen at almost all the major junctions. regulating the flow of traffic. Without them, traffic would come to a complete standstill. People respect the officers more than the traffic signs, but even they can't really control the chaos.
Everyone wants to go first. If we don't put a stop to this behaviour, nothing will ever change. Everyone simply drives onto the junction, jackknives and obstructs the rest of the traffic. No one gives in. Everyone thinks only of themselves and how to get away the quickest.
It's rush hour. Not even the rickshaws can get through now. Slowly, the mood is reaching boiling point. In the old town, the next transport is waiting for Bajad. At a wholesaler's, he loads building materials, which he has to take to a building site. At least, there are no dangerous buses or lorries in old Dhaka.
It's hard work, but I don't have an alternative. I once fell off my bicycle and broke my leg. When I transport pipes like those, it's very dangerous. The streets are narrow, and I have to make sure I don't get caught anywhere.
Bajad never finished school. Instead, he went to work in order to support his family in the countryside. Because Bajad started to work, his brother was able to study.
If we were both studying, we wouldn't have enough money, and in the end, we'd both fail.
Bajad's situation is typical for the life of the poor in Bangladesh. Often, there is only enough money to pay for the education of one family member. Bajad's family expects him to make this sacrifice, but it's a high-risk plan.
If I ever cause an accident, it would be a disaster. If it's my fault and the driver is injured and his car damaged, I'd need money for the repairs and medical costs. Something like that would cause great hardship for the family.
Rickshaw driver Azim is on his way to the hospital with a customer. Mohammed Zaved wants to visit his nephew who has had a traffic accident. Every day, up to 200 victims of traffic accidents end up in the community hospital. Broken bones, cranial traumas, but also more severe internal injuries are treated here. The hospital barely manages to treat the many injured people. Lots of patients camp out in the hallways and only receive minimal treatment. Zaved's nephew was involved in a serious accident with the taxi. He's been waiting for weeks for his second operation.
Today on my way from the village I saw another accident. It involved 3 cars. 2 people were dead on the spot. Our streets are horrible death traps.
পুরোটাই মরণ ফাঁদ আচ্ছা আপনার তো অপারেশন হয়ে গেছে না কয়দিন আগে অপারেশন হলো 23 তারিখ দেখে আস্তে আস্তে হাঁটুটা ভাঁজ করেন
There are not enough doctors and not enough nurses.
আপনার নাম কি
Operations take place only once a week.
আপনার কবে অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট
Anyone who can afford it books personal treatment with the chief physician.
and the fracture in the mid shaft of the humerus and this fracture has already caused nerve damage. That's very real.
Following the rounds, the hospital settles into its everyday routine. As there are not enough nurses, most people have to have their relatives look after and care for them. This is Gulistan bus station on the outskirts of the old town. All those who arrive in the capital full of great expectations end up here in the heart of Dhaka. Buses arrive from all over the country or leave from here. Arched has come here to meet his uncle. He wants to take the afternoon bus to Sherpur, his family's home village.
Do you know where the bus to Sherpur leaves from?
No idea.
The bus to Sherpur, does it leave from here?
Sherpur, dunno.
Like many rickshaw drivers, Padshah doesn't have a bank account. He can only hand over money personally or give it to a family member. Everything else would be too unreliable.
Uncle, how long have you been here?
I just got here. How are you?
Good. Take the money and give it to my mother at home. Tell my brother to be a good boy and study.
For many people in Bangladesh, buses are the only means of transport they can afford. You pay just 1.5 cents per kilometre. On the other hand, the passengers have to do with no comfort whatsoever. The large coaches are the true kings of the streets of Dhaka. Mohammed Razak is 32 and has been driving a bus for more than 10 years. He doesn't mind the tightly packed space.
Why is the woman still standing? She needs to sit down. I start the day in the name of Allah, but nobody is perfect. Sometimes I drive badly. Even though I know the gap is not big enough, I take it anyway. I have to admit we're to blame for some of the accidents.
Mohammed's 22-year-old helper Kausar Rahman works on the bus for up to 16 hours straight. His job is to get the passengers on board, to call out the bus's destination and to guide the driver safely.
On the one hand, I like the work, but I also don't like it. Unfortunately, people don't respect us. Even the rickshaw drivers come up to me and beat me. Some passengers get aggressive when they're asked to pay. They even break the windows or set fire to the bus. We're full. No, we're full. Keep going. They don't listen. They want to get on anyway.
Transport is a scarce commodity. If you're not assertive, you don't get anywhere. Bus driver Razak has to do more than avoid accidents. He also has to make sure that there is cash in the till at the end of the day.
Bus number 6 is on the road from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. At lunchtime, I take a break, and the rest of my life I spend stuck in traffic. We always have to drive as much as we can. Rent for the bus is 40 euros per day. We have to buy petrol on top of that. If we actually want to earn some money, we really have to step on it.
Tensions are running high on the streets. It takes only a tiny spark for the powder keg to explode.
Fear is a constant passenger for us. If there's an accident, most of us will take off. There is a huge danger that the passengers, that is to say the simple people, will beat us to death. So we'd rather do a runner.
A little aside from congestion and traffic chaos, there are the rickshaw stations. They tend to belong to the people who rent out the bikes. The vehicles are parked downstairs, the drivers sleep upstairs. Apart from Azim, some 100 drivers can stay here.
I would rather work in my village with my family. I'm actually a farmer by trade, but I don't have my own farm and no money. So I have no choice but to keep driving a rickshaw.
Sleeping, personal hygiene, eating or repairing the rickshaw. Those are the everyday activities at the station. The better it is run, the longer the drivers tend to stay here. Some even live here with their families. Others don't actually drive. They are busy maintaining the bikes. The rickshaws are old, and the ramshackle streets of Dhaka take their toll. Some of the rickshaw drivers' wives earn some extra money by cooking for the men. 3 meals a day cost the equivalent of 70 cents. Usually rice with vegetables and some fish is on the menu. No one has to go hungry, but there is no such thing as a fat rickshaw driver. The food is just about enough to keep up their strength. In the afternoon, Azim sets off once more. When the offices close, business goes well. But this is also the time when traffic often comes to a complete standstill. Driver Banchet has been given a big job. In addition to the normal obstacles like chaos and lack of discipline, you have to contend with the dismal state of the streets. Everywhere there are roadworks which are usually not cordoned off or marked as such. It's assumed that the road users will notice the hole in the street in good time. The men work with simple tools. As wages are so low, it's cheaper than using a digger. Here, supply pipes need to be laid. Mohammed Abdul is the boss. It's been his job for over 20 years now to keep patching up the streets of Dhaka.
Everyone who passes by here curses us. The traffic jam is our fault. No one likes us. But you need to see that the street is very dangerous for us too. If a car comes and falls into the ditch, we're all dead. We need to be careful. But we also have our work to do, of course.
Banchet has delivered his load. It's time for a break and a cup of tea at his station. Tea is only a few cents.
I just arrived here from Gulistan. What a traffic jam.
Were the traffic police after you?
No, but one of them tried. Luckily, he didn't catch me.
When talking to a colleague, Banchet quickly gets to the favourite subjects of all rickshaw drivers: the street, the traffic jam, and the police assaults.
You better be off. Pack your stuff and have the police beat you up.
You want me to get beaten up?
Once they beat you up, you give them 10 cents. That's how much this is.
So I'm to pay for getting beaten up?
Yeah, but afterwards.
Meanwhile, Azim has arrived on the outskirts of the city. He's taking a lorry driver to his station. His shift only starts after dark. During the day, lorries are banned on Dhaka streets. Mohammed Amjad Hossain mainly carries bricks to the building sites of the city. The brickyards are outside the city gates. The stones are taken to the loading station on barges and unloaded by hand. Driver Amjad also employs helpers who accompany him on all trips.
When I was still driving during the day, there were many traffic jams. Sometimes I had to wait for hours. At night, it's not so bad, and it's not so hot either. It's not entirely safe at night. There are youth gangs. A colleague of mine was robbed recently. They took his cell phone and his money.
Once the lorry is loaded up, Amjad has to wait for nightfall. Only then can he make a start. But there is always stuff to do, or have a chat with colleagues. Dusk falls over the city. Finally, he can leave. The traffic in the city won't calm down in the coming hours. Slowly, Amjad and his lorry make their way to the city centre. Like every evening, there is an invasion of lorries. At night, they supply the city with everything it needs to stay alive. Now they have taken over the streets. Amjad has reached the building site and has his men unload the lorry.
There's no point if I'm the only one who sticks to the highway code. Everyone needs to observe it or it's pointless. Once an accident has happened, it's all too late anyway. You get beaten up or thrown in jail. If I think about that, I don't actually feel like driving anymore.
It's already past midnight. Even though Badshed is on his way to bed, the city never sleeps. The man who rents out the rickshaw to Badshed keeps his humble belongings in a cupboard for him. Late at night, the rickshaw drivers make their bed on their bikes. The streets of Dhaka have become Badshed's home, day and night.